Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is me. It is the wonderful Apostle Rob, your favorite apostle of Greater Works Christian Church, and your host on Table Flippers Podcast. If you didn't know this, that's what you're listening to right now. Oh, you like my hat? I know, I showed all of you some time ago, but I wanted to wear it again. It was sitting over there on my desk, so I said, hey, let's wear that for a little bit. I'm feeling a little bit patriotic right now. Now I'm feeling a little redneck patriotic. Now I'm feeling patriotic again. Anyways, hey, happy Mother's Day. I know it's a little belated. That was 2 days ago, but happy Mother's Day. I really hope all you moms had a phenomenal day, regardless of where you're at in the world. I hope you had a phenomenal day, and all of you, I almost said all of you who have a mom. Everybody has a mom. Even if your mom, like my mom, is no longer with us, you can still respect and honor your mom on this day. Remember her, honor her in some way. But if your mom is here alive on this planet, I certainly hope you made her day very, 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 very special. Because, not to outdo anybody, but I'm going to outdo most everybody. Not just me only, but my church, my organizations, the people that we work with. We are working right now on taking California back. Now you say, what does that have to do with Mother's Day? Well, on Mother's Day, this just past Sunday, 2 days ago, we had what we called the the Golden Ticket VIP dinner. And we had some, and I'll talk about that in a minute. We had some very high-ranking, very important candidates that are running in California to take California back. You say again, what does that have to do with Mother's Day? Well, we did this VIP dinner and rally on Mother's Day. That was the only time we could really coordinate everybody together. So on Mother's Day. And so that was a Mother's Day, a direct Mother's Day gift to the people, the moms that showed up and the people that brought their moms or their wives. But beyond that, when we take California back, dismantle this lunacy in California that makes it too expensive and unsafe to raise children. When we can unravel all that lunacy, it's going to give you moms and dads and children, but moms, because I know this is on the heart of every decent mother, is to raise their children in a safe place where they can flourish, have safe and good schools, be able to afford a car that can get them back and forth to their soccer practices without breaking down, afford a home in a decent neighborhood where they could be raised up and they can play in the front yard and on the streets without any problems, without any hassles, without drive-bys and drug addicts and homeless and all that threatening them. So what we are doing is doing our best to take California back so that in a very profound way, in a very real way, we can turn around to the moms and say, here's this gift. Happy Mother's Day. A safe and whole California. Not like it has been, but a safe California for you, your family, your children. So we're working on it. So the gift has already started. And I pray to God that we can finish the gift completely and hand all you moms and dads, but you moms, a safe California to raise your children in. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that, because as I hold in my hand, and I will put it up there, I figured this out. Let me. Somebody actually, in a nice way, called me out on this, because I said I'm going to put this, whether it's a picture or an article or some, up on the screen. Well, I said that a couple times, and then I realized, well, wait a minute. I better make sure that I can do it legally. I don't want to break any laws. I don't want to be doing something illegal or wrong. And so I had to go and research it. And turns out that I can. I just have to do it in a legal manner. So I apologize for saying and not producing. That's not anything I ever want to do. If I want to say I'm going to do something, I want to fulfill the promise. You know, so with this, I will put these things up here. I already have them up and ready to go. So again, we called this. This was the AV, that stands for Antelope Valley, AV Congress of Republicans cordially invites you to the Golden Ticket Mother's Day celebration, a gathering of patriots. A gathering of patriots. And it's here in the Antelope Valley, more specifically at my church in Lancaster, California. It was a VIP dinner, of course, on May 10th. And so the people that were invited as our VIP guests, Steve Hilton was with us. He's running for governor, and he's the front runner right now. Gloria Romero, don't know why I couldn't say that. Gloria Romero, she's running for lieutenant governor. And the reason this is called the Golden Ticket is they're all working together to get one another not just elected, but working with one another, coming up with plans. Even now, the elections aren't here. They're not in those seats. They're not in those offices yet, but they're working on plans, and they're great plans. What I heard, I was so encouraged because California, not quite yet. We get them in, and we're heading in the right direction. We are certainly heading in the right direction, but we need good people in there. And right now, there's several people running that I honestly, I really, maybe we'll talk about that in a moment, but I just don't understand how they're getting, so high in the polls. It's just more of what we've had, more of what destroyed California, more of what made this state, this beautiful state, so expensive and so dangerous. And people are going, yeah, we want more of that. I mean, that's ridiculous. And I say, no, we're going to give Steve Hilton and the Golden Ticket a shot, because they really have some plans, some strategy, blueprint on how to get California back on track. And if we get California on track, all of America gets on track. So two more. There's Michael Gates. He's running for Attorney General. This guy, all of them were spectacular, but Michael Gates, some of the things that he was just saying that he's already been able to accomplish here in California at the city levels and county levels, I want that in the state level. He's been able to accomplish, like check this one out. He has this profound, novel idea that I don't know if I've ever heard this before, especially in California. Let's put the criminals behind bars, and let's protect the victims. Because if you've lived in California, one of the things about California is decent citizens, decent people have been afraid to really stand up, because it seems like the decent citizen is the one that gets in trouble, where the criminal gets to go free. Well, Michael Gates wants to turn that around. And I so agree with him. It's time that the victims and the citizens be treated with dignity, and the criminals that are working hard against the citizens of California, they need to be behind bars. Oh my gosh, what a novel idea. I mean, this is just so weird. Why didn't anybody think of this before? Another gentleman, again, I really liked all four of them. Another gentleman, he's running for state controller. He's the money guy. His name is Herb Morgan. And Herb Morgan, I think I have it up here. Herb Morgan he's a money guy. He is a businessman. He knows how money works. And it seems like in the state of California, the people running the show right now, they don't understand how money works. They spend so much money, and it goes to dumb places and dumb areas. And what they say it's going to go towards, it doesn't. The money doesn't really end up there. I mean, just think about this high-speed rail. This high-speed rail that was only supposed to cost. It was going to be expensive. It's going to cost a few $1 billion, and it was supposed to be up and running by 2020. By 2020, we were supposed to have a high-speed rail in California, going up, I believe, if I know this, like the Central Valley, connecting, I want to say like San Francisco Bay Area to the LA Basin area. We don't have any. And here it is, 2026. There's 6 years, and it's cost about 6 times, and we have not one track laid yet, ladies and gentlemen. And they say it's still not going to be done until like 2030 or beyond. And here's the thing. I don't want a high-speed rail. I don't want it. I don't care for it. They put in this MetroLink in Southern California that connects like Orange County to LA and the different parts of LA, maybe San Bernardino County. And so I rode on it one time, and I was so disappointed because when it first opened up, they said, hey, business people, instead of driving for 2 hours down below, take the MetroLink and get some work done on the MetroLink. So I had to go down to downtown LA one time. I was invited to the County Board of Supervisors meeting to open up in prayer. I was asked to do the invocation. So I said, okay, I'm not going to be down there long. I don't want to fight traffic just to walk in, pray, bless the place, sit down for about 20 minutes, and then walk out, and then have to fight traffic again. So what I did is I took the MetroLink. And I thought, well, that's great. I can get some work done. I assumed, ladies and gentlemen, in a place such as Los Angeles, California, on their MetroLink train, that it's expensive to ride on, and they keep pushing like this is the wave of the future. You've got to do this so you can get more work done. I assumed that there would be Wi-Fi, so I brought my tablet. I had my phone, and I needed Wi-Fi so I can get a little bit of work done on the ride down there. No Wi-Fi. And it was dirty. The seats were dirty. The cars were dirty. The people that ran the whole thing were very, very rude. And that was early on. So I haven't taken it since. I'd rather just fight the traffic now. I can listen to my music. I can have my AC where I want it. It's clean. And if it's dirty, that's my problem. And I can, anyways. Now it's a place where criminals hang out. They've had so much crime on these MetroLink trains that they don't know what to do with it. People have been even killed on the MetroLink, robbed and killed. And you would think they're on a train. They can't just jump off of this train. They're on there. How is it that somebody can get on there, sit down there, rob all the people? What is this, like the Wild Wild West? Or is this like Knott's Berry Farm or something like that? Come on. And so people are not wanting to take it. Why? They don't want to pay more money than it would cost them to jump in their own car and drive down there, or drive with a friend, and have the chance of being robbed or possibly even killed. You can't really get much work done if you don't have Wi-Fi. And if the seats aren't comfortable enough to where you have like some type of table or something pops out there and you can do some work. So this whole thing that they pushed on it was kind of this weird, strange fabrication, deceitful thing. So anyways, back to this. So whether it be a high-speed train going through California as a whole, or just a MetroLink going through Southern California, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money, it's a waste of energy, and it's time that we take our state back and stop all these silly, ridiculous, ignorant projects that are just costing you and I, the taxpayer, billions and billions of dollars, and they still haven't got anything done. Thank you, Gavin Newsom, for being the worst. And you know what? After Jerry Brown and some of them, I didn't think. And there was a Gray Davis. He was a governor. Gray Davis and Jerry Brown. Two of the, worst politicians in probably American history. And they were right here in California. And now Gavin Newsom takes the cake. This guy is such a narcissistic twit, running this state into the ground. And there's so much fraud right now that's being uncovered. Democrats, you honestly, if you voted for Let's go back to Gray Davis, Jerry Brown. If you voted for, especially Gavin Newsom or any Democrat, especially in California, you should be absolutely embarrassed and humiliated. I've said this before, and I'm sorry, but it's the truth. I'm not looking as much at the politician. I'm looking at those who vote for them, because we know who the Democrats are. We've known for 50 years, and people still vote for them. And so knowing how bad the Democrat Party is. I mean, Gloria Romero used to be a Democrat, and she stood on the platform in my church in this event and said, listen, I was a Democrat. And it's not so much that I left the Democrat Party left me. And she talked about just how wacko and weird and sick the Democrat, her original party, has become. We had Alex Villanueva, if you know who that, he was the ex sheriff, LA County Sheriff. He's running again for LA County Sheriff. And he said the same thing, because for years I was a Democrat. He says, but I didn't really leave the Democrat Party. The party left me. And they became so weird. And they take all the weird, sick, fringe, perverted nonsense and prop it up as if it's healthy and normal, and put all of their money in the sick perversion. And the good, decent people that are just trying to work a job and raise a family, we can't make it. Why? Because all of our money and resources is going to the sick perversion and ridiculous, corrupt, fraudulent plans and things such as this high-speed rail. Even Bill Maher, if you know who Bill Maher, he is not just a Democrat, but he is a leftist. And this leftist has been spouting more kind of conservative ideology. Doesn't even realize, so don't tell him. He's been spouting more conservative ideology because he's been calling the Democrats on their fringe weird. He told Gavin Newsom on television in an interview, drop the train, drop it, forget about it. Don't even worry about it. You spent too much money on it, and you haven't even laid any track. And people have been calling him on this. And what does he do? He doubles down and spends more money. Well, where's the money going if they haven't laid any track? If it was supposed to be up and running by 2020, and they don't even have one track laid, where's the money going? I mean, I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen. Did any of you receive a check? And if you did, let me know, because I'm going to call the FBI and turn you in, because you're not supposed to be getting a check. It's supposed to be going towards building a train, and the train isn't there. The tracks aren't even laid. And do you think Gavin Newsom cares? No, because he can't run for governor anymore. He's got his sight on the presidency. Oh, Lord have mercy. Wouldn't that be a thing? So, we're taking California back. I'm going to say their names again. This is the golden ticket. You'll see it up there in just a moment. But vote for these people. Steve Hilton for governor. Gloria Romero for lieutenant governor. Michael Gates for attorney general. And Herb Morgan for California state controller. We need them in there. These are already tried, true, and proven people in their own rights, in their own business, even some politics. And they've done some great and fantastic things. We need to get just because somebody like Gavin Newsom has a great head of hair, who cares? He messed up the state. His hair doesn't make up for all the foolishness and the wickedness that he's perpetuated on the people. So we're taking our state back. We are taking our state back. You say, well, what about, there's other people like Chad Bianco running, and a lot of Republicans and conservatives love Chad Bianco. He's the sheriff, the present, right now, current sheriff of San Bernardino County. And I'm just going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. I have nothing against Chad Bianco. Okay, the person, I've heard him, and I like some of the things that he says. There's a few things, but they're minor, that I would go, oh, I don't really care about that, but they're minor, okay? But I will say this, there's something to be said about Many, not, of course, not all. So those of you who love Chad Bianco, I'm not necessarily throwing you personally under the bus. I'm just telling you from my experience. This is my experience of what I've seen and what I've read and what I've heard. Many of the Chad Bianco supporters, it's so weird. You know what? A lot of conservatives, or people that claim to be conservative or typically vote conservative, they're starting to embrace the mindset of the left in many ways. Because what I have seen is a lot of Chad Bianco supporters, not Chad. So, Mr. Bianco, if you ever listen to this, I have nothing against you, and I think you honestly would make a pretty good, a great governor. Certainly better than what we have, okay? But I will say to you, sir, that some of your supporters, and I know this could be said about anybody at any time, it just seems to be more than normal, have got this like Hilton derangement syndrome. You know, they've sort of adopted Trump derangement syndrome from the left and kind of just flipped it to Steve Hilton derangement syndrome in a weird way. I mean, honestly, I've seen some of the posts and the comments and such on social media, and it's hard for me to believe this because we're supposed to be in the same camp. Because here's my take on it. Here's my take, ladies and gentlemen. This is for everybody, even including you, Chad Bianco supporters. Here's my take on it. We need to take our state back. And taking our state back is far more important than even a single candidate. All right? Because right now we got some pretty good candidates running on the Republican side. At least two of them. I should say two. Okay, two. But we have to be honest with ourselves. You see, one of the things that conservatives fail at almost every election, and miserably, is we don't really have much or work out a real strategy to win. And so California is so messed up. This isn't just one of those things, oh, vote your heart. No, let's this time vote our brain. Okay, we have to ask ourselves some questions. Who running on the Republican side is the most electable? Okay, number one. And once we figure that out, because the race is getting so close, and as we get closer to the election, it'll get even closer. And I do not want another Gavin Newsom in there, well, he can't run anymore. You know what I mean. I mean somebody like a Gavin Newsom with the same policies, the same drive, the same fraud, the same nonsense, the same lies, the same deceit, the same perversion. I don't want that anymore. And I don't think anybody, especially the conservatives, want that. Only perverts and only the perverts want what we've been having all along. I'm being honest with you. So, again, who's the most electable? Number one, who is the most electable? Okay? We all need to get behind that one candidate and push that one candidate to victory. Not split up our vote 2 different ways, 5 different ways, 10 different ways, voting for other candidates just because they're our personal favorite, and saying, well, I voted my heart and that's my personal favorite. Yeah, you can do that. This is the United States of America. Vote for who you want. I totally agree with that. But there sometimes comes a time when you have to put your own personal viewpoints behind you for a moment and stand up for the greater good. And what is the greater good in this? We need a decent, as close to the full conservative candidate as possible. And I'm just going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, it looks like Steve Hilton is the only conservative candidate that really has a chance to win. Now, don't get me wrong. You know how things go. The closer we get, things can shift, things can move, and all of that. But as it sits right now, Steve Hilton is the guy that's going to win if we all get behind him and push him and help him to victory. Not split up the vote 2 ways, 3 ways, 10 ways, or whatever. Let the Democrats do that. let their votes be so split up, and so that we can go to victory. So what am I saying? Now I personally like Steve Hilton a lot. I got to speak to him personally this last Sunday. Personally, we had a private conversation personally, and he's very, he seems, I should say, very, very, very genuine. And I got to speak very little bit, but momentarily to Chad Bianco, and I will say he seemed very sincere as well. But again, let's just be honest with it. Just put everything aside about who's our favorite, who's not our favorite. What's the alternative? Getting in another Gavin Newsom? Some smooth talking, fraudulent pervert? I don't want that. I really don't want that. And listen, right now, as it is, if Chad Bianco was out ahead and I say he's the front runner, he has the greatest chance of winning, then I'd be sitting here telling us we all need to get behind Chad Bianco. We need to work a strategy, ladies and gentlemen. Just recently, there's a gentleman in our town. I won't even tell you his name, only because I'm not here to throw out this thing. So I'm not going to tell you some names on this, throw out names on this and that, and, smear or prop up in a unhealthy manner. But there's a gentleman running locally for a state assembly, I believe it is. Anyways, yeah, state assembly. So, and he's a nice guy. He and I have gotten to know each other, and he's a nice guy. He's a great guy. But there's some that don't like him. We all kind of run in these similar or same circles for the most part. And even in those circles, there's somebody that doesn't, at least one person, a few, but one that really doesn't like him. And we were having a meeting here at the church, on church grounds. And the gentleman that was running, he was there, he was being spoken of. He wasn't there, but he was being spoken of in a great way, a nice way, And somebody in the room started yelling and screaming, he's a bum, this, that, and the other thing. And that just was not the time or place for it. Let me explain to you why. Because we're all supposed to be of the same party and mindset. All supposed to be conservatives. All right? And so afterwards, me and another gentleman was talking about how ridiculous that was, the outburst and everything. And the question I had for this other gentleman, it was a rhetorical question, ladies and gentlemen, but nonetheless, a question was, what's the alternative? Okay, so he doesn't like this guy for some personal reasons, ladies and gentlemen, to the point that he's going to disrupt a meeting, and really make a fool of himself, and mostly personal. Okay, so what is the alternative? What's the alternative? If we don't put this guy, who is literally the most conservative person running in this particular race, what is the alternative? Do we want, do conservatives want another Democrat in there, super liberal, greasy, perverted Democrat in there, because we can't bring ourselves together, because we can't see the bigger picture than our own personal vices or our own personal choice, our own personal desires. We can't see the bigger picture that maybe somebody running isn't 100% of what we want. But then again, who is? I mean, honestly, who is? Who is that? Can anybody name a candidate that has run, especially one that is 100% of what, the voter wanted? I would say no. And if somebody says, oh, yeah, it's this person, I say, well, then you're delusional, because nobody is 100%. My wife and I, we've been married 37 years, and we get along pretty good, and we still have our disagreements. I'm not 100% for her in the sense of the day-to-day choices and things, and neither is she in that sense. There are still some things that we're trying to work out. So if that happens with a couple after 37 years of marriage, how much more a candidate that maybe, just maybe, we've never even sat in the room and talked to, But come on, conservatives, Republicans, we have to start thinking, using our brain more than our hearts when we elect our representatives. Also, here's another thing, and I know the left started this, but let's use their tactic against them. Ballot harvesting. You know, it used to be that you couldn't do that. You had to do your own ballot. You had to turn it in. You had to fill it. You actually went one day, paper. You go up there and you do it, and then drop it in the little box, and you walk out, and you get this little sticker that says, "I voted." Great. You know, so those days, at least right now, are gone. I know we're trying to get back to that, but those days are gone. So you have mail-in ballots and all these types of carry-in ballots and things like that. And then they have what they call ballot harvesting, where one person can literally go in their neighborhood and collect the ballots. So ladies and gentlemen, why aren't we doing that more and more and more? I know some groups are on both sides, but why aren't the conservatives doing that? You see, we get so headstrong. Well, it shouldn't be like that. That should be illegal. It should be, but it's not. So let's use the left's tactic against them legally. You know, start collecting some ballots. Do you guys know of any, like, I don't know, maybe convalescent hospitals or what we typically would call an old folks home? A lot of those people don't get out, and a lot of those people don't drive. What if you contacted that old folks home or walked in the door and said, listen, by this time, maybe tomorrow or next week or whenever, I'm going to come here and collect all the ballots of everybody that wants to vote. So vote, you know, have them fill out the ballot. I will be here to collect them, to harvest them and take them in myself. Why can't you do that, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, because we're conservatives and we don't do that because we want everything our way right now. I mean, don't get me wrong. I want it right now too, but it doesn't work that way. And if I have to give up a vote, listen, if I have to give up a vote for the person I really want in, but I know he has no chance of getting in, so I'm gonna vote for the closest thing to a conservative, you know, that's running, then I'm gonna do that because I want to go from 0 to 100 right now with one vote. I want to get absolutely everything I want and everything I feel we need in one vote. But it doesn't always work that way. So if the candidate that is most likely to win on the conservative side is only 50% of what I want, isn't 50% better than 0? Isn't 50% better than going back into the negative with another Democrat? Ladies and gentlemen, we gotta face this more strategically and smarter. And that's the one thing. The conservative group is the most brilliant group, but we're also the most stubborn group. Like, if I don't get everything I want, I don't want anything at all. So just hand it to the Democrats, who are bringing hell into places like California, Los Angeles, and we've seen it even on the national level with other presidents and such. We have to start thinking about this and using our brains more than our hearts. Instead of yelling and shouting that this guy's a bum, I'm not going to vote for him, don't vote for him. Well, the guy that this gentleman is pushing, honestly, he might be a phenomenal guy, but he's no chance of winning. I'm sorry, but it's just the truth. He has no chance of winning, this guy that he's pushing. And then there's another guy that you talk about flip-flop. Years ago, he was a Republican. He switched to Democrat and ran and then won. And then he lost in the next go-around. Now he's a Republican again, running as a Republican. Come on, who wants that? Who wants a flip-flopper? Who wants somebody that can't even figure out who they are, what they believe, what they're going to do? We don't need that. And these are the type of people that will get in if we don't get smarter with our vote. You know, it's like the people that hated Trump, the no-Trumpers, and from the conservative side, and refused to vote for him. Well, what was the alternative? Kamala? Oy. Anyways, so when I say we're taking our state back, this is, I just want to give you an idea with this, with our gas prices, because a lot of people right now are blaming Trump. You know, like our high gas prices are Trump's fault. Did you know ladies and gentlemen, I believe it's Oklahoma, is the lowest gas. I just looked this up a few minutes ago. The lowest gas in the United States at $3, and I want to say something like 89 cents. It was lower than $4, $3, and that's expensive. That's too expensive. I agree with this. And yes, the war with Iran is having an effect on our gas prices. But here in California, I looked it up, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know what the average price of gas in California? If you live in California, you know you've been paying a lot. But the average price in California for regular gasoline to fuel your car is $6.16. Average. Some places are higher, some places a little bit lower, but $6.16 for regular gasoline. The mid-range gasoline, $6.37. Premium, $6.57. Now, again, these are averages. And for diesel, man, I'm so sorry for these truck drivers. I feel for them. $7.45 for diesel in the state of California. Now, you can't blame all of that on Trump. And I know people like Stiers, the Democrat who's running, is trying to gaslight people and deceive them into blaming Trump for our high gas prices. And they're trying to throw Trump under the bus. And Trump can't run again. Ladies and gentlemen, he can't run again. Trump derangement is a real thing. It's a real thing. And it's also beginning to spread and even it's like a bad virus, how it takes shape and it changes form just enough. So it went from like Trump derangement to, I've said this before, like Israel or Jewish derangement syndrome. Now we have anybody that's somewhat concerned. We have the Steve Hilton derangement, and that's crept into, like I said, not against you, Mr. Bianco, but some of your followers, some of the people that are really supporting you have Hilton derangement syndrome, and which would concern me if I was Bianco. Let me tell you why. Because if these people have become unhinged to where they're arguing and fussing and fighting with fellow conservatives over Hilton because they love Chad Bianco so much, all he has to do is do something that they don't like, and they'll turn and flip on him. They will turn and flip on him. That's the way these people are. They don't care who they hate. There's just hatred in them. And that hatred causes them to be deranged in their thinking, where, again, they can't think with their brain cells. They think with their heart, and their heart is messed up. Anyways, so $6.16 for regular. I'm going to just take that number right there, $6.16 for regular. Now, here's one of the reasons why. And I'm going to pull out my calculator to show you this. $6.16 is the average for regular, the cheap gas, okay? $6.16. There's a California fuel tax. California fuel tax on each gallon of gasoline sold in California. And that's 61 cents. There's also a minimum of a sales tax. So they have the fuel tax and the sales tax that they put on gasoline. And that is a minimum of 10 cents. Whoops. I have to put a decimal point there. Okay, so now with other fees, federal taxes and other fees, and because there's even more fees than that on top of it, it comes to a total of 89 cents. 89 cents per gallon that we are paying above the price of just the straight gasoline. Okay, so at 89 cents, that would make it, if they took off all the taxes and all the fees, and you just went and bought the gas, just the gas in California, it would be at $5.27, still way too high. But 89 cents. So when you go fill up your tank, each gallon, if you put 10 gallons into your car, that's $8.90 that is going elsewhere. than just the gasoline that you just paid. Okay. Now, another reason why, so we're looking at just what did I say, 27 a gallon, just for the gasoline itself. Okay, $5.27. So the reason why it's even $5.27, if we could just get the gasoline itself, just the gasoline itself, is because in California there's so many rules and regulations that the Democrats have put on there, environmentalist nonsense and all of that, that most of our gas that we buy in California, that you put into your car, comes from such places as Iraq. So I want you to say, and it's supposed to be a cleaner burning formula of gasoline. And it's not really produced here much in the United States, especially in California. So they have to bring it in, import it from Iraq, places like Iraq. Well, how does it get here? On these super tankers. Super tankers bringing the oil and the gas here because of all of our restrictions. We can't use our own, which drives the cost up. And they say, well, we're willing to pay a little bit more to have cleaner air. I want you to think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Democrats, I want you to think about this because, again, stop voting with your heart and start voting with your head. Start voting with the brain cells between your ears and not the heart that I'm not even sure is beating anymore. But nonetheless, start voting with your head, not your heart. Why do I say that? So we can have cleaner air. We want cleaner gas in California. That's what they tell us. We need cleaner gas so we have cleaner air. So we're shutting down, California is shutting down a lot of its refineries. And instead of piping this oil and gasoline in gas and pipelines to our refineries and refining it here, they're going to put it on a tanker, a huge ship on the ocean. And it doesn't take lots of ships from such places as Iraq. And they're going to ship it in on these super tankers that are spewing out black smoke. They're filling the air, the atmosphere with black smoke, with all that dirty carbon, leaving a huge carbon footprint. Or I guess it's on the ocean, so it wouldn't be really a footprint, but you get what I mean. The carbon on the ocean just to get the oil and the gasoline here to California instead of just taking care of it here, which would be a lot cheaper. A lot cheaper. Even if they made that type of formula that burns cleaner, it would still be a lot cheaper. My point is, because of Democrat policies that just don't make sense. To you bleeding heart liberals, it feels good. Oh my gosh. Makes me want to go hug a tree. It makes me want to hug a tree and say, I'm with you. I'm for you. And you have clean air to breathe. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the most ridiculous thing, even under the guise of clean air. Why? Because those super tankers that bring the oil here and the gasoline here from places such as Iraq are spewing out garbage fumes worse than any one of our cars can do. Any one or 1,000 cars could do. It would be better, easier, much cheaper to produce our own gasoline here, right here in California. But no, because we have to do something that is not good, but it feels good. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we got to, all of us, conservatives, Democrats, we've got to get out of our emotions and into our intellect. That's why I say, conservatives, who is the most electable in this California state governor race? I'm telling you, whether you like it or not, Hilton, Steve Hilton. Let's all get behind Steve Hilton and make this happen. And because he's running with this golden ticket and they're already working together, already planning, already getting together and formulating strategies and policies. Let's elect as Lieutenant Governor Gloria Romero. Let's elect as Attorney General Michael Gates. Let's elect as California State Controller Herb Morgan. And together, as they work together, we can get California back. But if we don't stop the infighting, if we don't stop the arguing, if we don't stop the yelling and the screaming, if we don't stop putting one another down, you know what? We're going to end up with another Gavin Newsom. And then some will just sit back all smug and cocky and arrogant. Well, at least we didn't get this other guy in. I don't know. Sometimes I think that, and I'm going to speak to conservatives on this, sometimes we act more like little children, little 5-year-olds in the toy box or in the sandbox than we do actually grown adults who care about our own lives, our own children, their future, our state, and its future. Sometimes we're too busy kicking sand at one another, trying to steal the other person's toy, instead of just getting together and say, listen, there's something bigger, something far more important than if I can steal your Hot Wheel, or if the teacher calls me by name. Oy, let's stop acting like kindergartners. Let's start thinking. Who is on the conservative side the most electable? Who's leading in the polls? Who's the most electable? Well, right now, it's Steve Hilton. Are you going to stand behind him? Are you going to get behind him? You say, well, we can't walk away from Chad Bianco, Mr. Bianco. I'm going to just throw this out to you. Hopefully you'll listen to this. Hopefully you'll hear this. But what are you going to do? I mean, let's face it. Let's just be honest. Again, I've already said, I'll say it again. I think you would make a great governor. But at this point, the numbers just aren't there. At this point, you're just not going to make it. I'm not trying to put you down because, again, I think you would make a great governor. But what are you going to do? Are you going to split the vote? Are you going to continue to fuss with Steve Hilton, split the vote, and then maybe neither of you get in and hand it off to the Democrats? You know, to the defund the police Democrats? Or are you going to, back up and say, listen, I'm not going to win. I'm going to step out of the race and I'm going to support Steve Hilton and tell everybody that's been supporting me to now support Steve Hilton. Maybe, just maybe, he could hit that 51% right away in the primaries. I don't know. It's just a thought. So anyways, just think about that. Pray about that, ladies and gentlemen, because again, I'm not even trying to say or use this as a vote a certain way because that's who I like, or don't vote this way because that's who I don't like. Nuh-uh. I'm trying to think strategically. And I think it's time that we think strategically. And strategy tells me that Steve Hilton is our guy. Strategy tells me that Gloria Romero, Lieutenant Governor, that's our girl. Strategy tells me that Michael Gates for Attorney General, that's our guy. And strategy tells me that Herb Morgan is our guy for California State Controller. And that team together can really make a powerful difference and do some great things here in the state of California, because we've got to take California back. And moms, back to Mother's Day, we are doing our best to give you the greatest Mother's Day gift you can ever receive. That's a safe, not just a safe street, but a safe home, safe street, neighborhood, a safe city, a safe county, and a safe state. Not just safe where you don't have to worry about crime, but affordable and safe with great schools that aren't going to pervert your kids' minds, but teach them and raise them up so that California can be number one again, not just in the United States of America, but on the face of the planet. And your kids can excel so that you can be proud of them, not just now, but all the days of their life, where you don't have to worry about them so much falling into drug addiction or be having their brains perverted with the LGBT nonsense. But they can grow up healthy and whole and safe, where there's opportunity for them to do great things in their future. Yeah, we want to give you the best Mother's Day gift possible. So I'm asking you, let's think strategically, not here. Can you see that? Not here. Here. Not with our heart, but with our head. And if we do that, our heads will tell us, let's think strategically. Which conservative has the best chance of winning? Steve Hilton. So let's vote Steve Hilton. Anyways, I know I had a lot more to say. I really didn't want to focus on a lot of those things, but I did. So it must be needed. So my prayers for all of you, all of California, and the Golden Ticket team is that God's will prevail. Now, God's will, we'll explain that some other time. But God's going to prevail. We're going to prevail. And we're going to take California back. Make California golden again. God bless you all.